Yo, trips, banger, banger, banger. Hold on, don't leave. Listen, there's like an algorithm thing on YouTube where it says the first 5 seconds or something, you gotta watch the video. So as long as we've had you this long, listen, we're gonna be rocking and rolling, baby. Hope you're gonna enjoy this. So 420.game by Look Labs project you may not have heard about. Listen, I think there's something special about this. It's something that, I bought. So Schiller is shilling his bags. But let's go into it. Greenpaper V2 Season 1 Weed. My mom's watching. I'm sorry, Mom. During a calm and sunny day on the farm, the goats were chilling while grazing their grass. Coincidentally, near the grass field, they found plots of land full of gorgeous buds of all kind. The goats immediately saw the business opportunity, and they decided to steal the seeds and began secretly growing them. They had only one goal in mind: to become the biggest weed tycoons in the metaverse. But first, they needed to learn how to breed, hustle, and legalize their business to own a shop and begin their dominance. But to be the best in the business, one needs to own only the best of weed strains to truly be the best. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go through the website here. They've had several different AMAs, and I'm pretty impressed with everything they've had. One of the first guests on one of the Twitter spaces was Laramie Tunsil of the NFL. If you guys remember way back in the day, there was the scandal. I guess his stepdad, who wasn't a huge fan of him, on draft night decided to post a video of him smoking weed in a gas mask. So that was, I guess for this, it's a great guest to have for it. But overall, again, really, really impressed in what they're doing. But we'll find out if you find you're impressed too. So let's check it out. How to play. 420.game is a play-to-earn weed game powered by the high ERC20 token and its dynamic economy. The main objective of Season 1 is to own a shop. In addition to creating Gen 1 strains with the highest possible THC percentage and stake them to accumulate high. The greater the THC content of the bud, the greater the corresponding high yield. The game starts by staking buds and generating enough high token to enable breeding. Breeding is only possible with a piece of land and 2 ERC 721A Gen 0 buds, male and female. So I want to stop here for a second because when we're looking at the game, this is one thing that I'm not too sure of. Because when we go over to OpenSea, when you're looking, basically when they're talking about Gen 1 and Gen 0 buds, no, it's right there. Well, anyway, we'll click that. You're going to need these green passes. And so you'll be able to mint buds, and we'll go over how exactly all that works here in a second. But when you're minting them, there's, technically a chance that you don't end up getting a male and a female, so then you are forced to go on secondary market, which, as someone who, let's say you only have one of these, if you get all male, then you're going to be like, okay, if I want to breed, I'm going to have to sell them, or all female, yada, yada. So adds an interesting dynamic to it, but if I'm somebody that's not rolling with a whole lot of capital or Ethereum to be able to do that, I'm like, but whatever, it's a part of the game. So the Green Pass guarantees one bud and a piece of land for free. So something a little extra with that. First, the goat must cultivate and grow buds by planting them into the land plots to yield high token. High allows for purchases of different in-game items and advantages, which can significantly help to scale and increase the scope of your weed empire. The decisions made in Season 1 will influence performance in Season 2. The more successful you are in the first season, the greater your chances to make it big in the second. And on their most recent Twitter space, they said that they were projecting that Season 1 is going to last about 3 months, so keep that in mind. Only the most elite goats will be able to claim ownership of a coveted in-game shop. The ones that don't make the cut will be left to the mercy of the streets in Season 2. Only a goat of the highest mental and physical fortitude can hope to prosper. So here's a quick little TLDR, if you like that instead. Breed and or collect the best Gen 1 strains and stake them to yield high token. The complete breeding process for a Gen 1 bud takes 10 days. So again, this is a game that's going to revolve pretty heavily around staking. Purchase in-game items that provide significant advantages in the breeding process. Convert your yielded high token at the game. Sorry, at the in-game shop for the ERC20 high token tradable on the secondary market. So there are certain things that aren't tradable, and there are certain ones that are. So a minute ago, they talked about the land. The land's not going to be tradable, where for the high token, it is. Love it. Move through all seasons. I was going to say 3 seasons, but it says seasons with a 3, to finally meet Pablo. So we'll find out who the hell Pablo is down the line here. So all buds explained. Gen 0, total supply 20,000. Rarity and supply of each bud will be distributed randomly on mint. The Gen 0 bud is the very first obtainable strain. Holders of a green pass will be able to mint 1 Gen 0 bud for free and up to 1 additional bud. That means the maximum number of buds you can obtain through minting is 2. The total supply of these will be 20,000, and the rarity traits and total supply of each individual Gen 0 bud strain is distributed randomly during the mint. Let's say you are amongst the lucky people obtaining a Gen 0 bud. What happens then? It's time to harvest it. Only those who harvest their Gen 0 bud for 7 days will be able to reveal the actual strain. You can fit an overview of all the 20 different strains below. Below. Apple fritter biscotti, blue OX. Okay, dude, listen, you know those NFT projects where they have the OX in the yellow background? These guys are already setting it up here. Holy sheesh. Blueberry OG. It goes all the way down the list. TLDR, there's 20 of them, so there's basically 1,000 of each of these buds that are going to be available on the market. After you have revealed your Gen 0 bud strain, there are 3 cool things you can do with it. Stake it and yield high token. Did we tell you that each individual Gen 0 bud has its own THC level? The amount of high token it's able to yield will be based on how much THC it contains. The more THC, the more high you get. More on this later. Breed it to create a new version, Gen 1 bud strain. And note, breeding is only possible if you own 2 Gen 0 buds, 1 male and 1 female. So similar to what I said before, if you happen to only have 1 green pass and you mint, then you're like, hopefully you get both. And I'm curious, maybe it's built in where it's automatic. You get a male and a female, not 100% sure. If you do, feel free to leave in the comments. And guys, make sure you check the comments afterwards. Let me know if you kind of like this video. And I know it's somewhat basic where we're just running through the website, but if you guys like this idea, I'll try to do it more often with different projects that I come across. So, after that, you can obviously trade on OpenSea. So, a Gen 1 bud can only be obtained by completing the full breeding process with your Gen 0 buds. The main goal of Season 1 is to produce as many Gen 1 super weeds as possible while obtaining the highest levels of THC. So, before, they said the main goal was to get a shop, and now they're saying the main goal is to produce as many Gen 1 super weeds as possible. And again, that happens through the breeding mechanism. So, the Gen 1 Super Bud and the Gen 1 Lab Work are 2 different types of strains that can only be obtained by getting lucky during the breeding process. They are basically a Gen 1 Bud strain, but on steroids. Their levels of THC is the highest one you can get, which in return will also yield one of the most high per day when staking them. Since they are the most valuable bud strain, they are also the most limited in supply. Let's jump into the breeding process so you can finally understand how we go from Gen 0 bud to a Gen 1 bud to possibly a Gen 1 super bud. Breeding is one of the main focuses of Season 1 to go from 2 Gen 0 buds to the final IBL stage of breeding. The goat needs to pass through 5 breeding levels. Each breeding level requires you to breed for 2 days, burning high token at each stage. So again, there's one kind of common trend, and this is, I think, one of the first mentions within the site of it, is that the high token, the team of Look Labs is doing a lot to make sure that the token holds some kind of value. But there's more on that in a little bit here. As it is in real life, a male and female pair of buds are required for the breeding process to take place. At each level of breeding in the cycle, there is the possibility of your bud either increasing or decreasing in its THC content. This is the risk each goat must be willing to take in order to reap the benefits of crafting the perfect Gen 1 bud. The visual below shows there are 4 unique bud strains that can be generated per level. Please take a look at the visual below. So if you are a science major, high school, not high school, college science, all that kind of jazz, yeah, cool. Nice start. Love it. I don't know how to read it. Let's start from the beginning. Before you get to level 1, growers need to confirm they own 2 Gen 0 buds. Sticking both of them will start the breeding process. Be aware, a sacrifice of your high token is required every time you want to level up. So again, just reemphasizing the high token is going to be needed. Level 1, to go from level 0 to level 1, the goat will need to breed 2 Gen 0 buds for 2 days and sacrifice high. The same will apply to all subsequent levels in the breeding process. So the IBL, or like the top level here for level 5, for the diehard breeders lucky enough to participate in level 5, congratulations. Now here comes the biggest risk of the breeding process. There are 2 scenarios. The best case scenario, the bud contains a THC level of 15% or higher. This means the bud process was a success and the IBL stage is unlocked. You now have the ability to give a name to your newly created Gen 1 bud and mint it on a contract optimized for low gas. Love to hear it. The mint is free, and the name will show on OpenSea when listed. This Gen 1 bud is added to the total number of buds in circulation, and it can be staked to yield even more high. So, again, I think that's something that's a little bit cool. I don't think we've had a collection that's allowed you to, name something that everyone's going to be affected by, essentially, right? When you think of, like, CyberKongs, for example, you're able to pay with the banana token and name your specific NFT. But with this one, arguably, other people are going to be able to breed it as well, I think, at some points. Or it's going to end up going there. Like, I don't know if there's a limit on this, so we'll see. But exciting nonetheless. The mint is free and the name will show up on OpenSea when listed. This Gen 1 bud is added to the total number of buds in circulation, and it can be staked to yield even more high. I think, so, yeah, I don't know. What I just said a minute ago might be totally, like, irrelevant, and it's not for everybody, and it could just be your bud, like your CyberKong. But if it is for everybody, I think that would be a cool little thing with it. So the worst case scenario, the weed bud contains a THC level of lower than 15%, meaning the breeding process was a failure, fish. You basically staked for 10 days and sacrificed your damn tokens to no avail. Bravo. Good stuff, fam. It's a harsh reality, but the breeding process is a game of chance where you can stand to gain a lot or absolutely nothing. Only the best goats are able to succeed, and the maximum number of Gen 1 buds that can be bred is 20,000. And you can cheat the breeding system. We understand there might be some lazy goats among us. Good news, we will allow somewhat cheating of the breeding system. There are 3 ways in which this can be done. So, first off, mint a Weed Doctor Pass. This pass provides a better chance of breeding a Gen 1 bud with a high THC level. Chances of breeding a super bud or a lab work bud will be increased. It also provides the opportunity of 3 jumps. Every jump can be used to promote to the next breeding level for free. If level 5 has been reached and one still has 3 jumps, it can actually be utilized to try and get a better Gen 1 bud strain within level 5. Be aware that if all 3 jumps are consumed, the Weed Doctor Pass will be empty. This is the important part. The Weed Doctor Pass has utility in Season 2 as well. Make the impending decisions wisely. The Hoodie provides 1 free jump that allows you to jump from level 1 or any other level to IBL immediately. So if you end up getting the Metalite Hoodie, very nice. Burning Gen 0 buds. Burn both of your Gen 0 buds to skip over all the 5 breeding levels and jump immediately to the IBL level. IBL phase. You will obtain a true breed strain and be able to name the bud. There's another comment in the future here, but I'm going to bring it up earlier, is that they talk specifically about how you want to have more buds. So I don't know, like, how obvious it is, because I haven't read this in, like, 2 days. I don't know, a long time. It could be somewhere like, hey, it might not be worth it, but if you're trying to jump to, like, that last stage, it could be. But again, Gen 0, potentially, deflationary with all this. So, generating high, time to accumulate high. Each holder will be able to generate high by staking their buds. As mentioned before, the THC level of the bud will play an important factor in how much high token is able to be generated. The higher the THC level, the more high will yield per day. Take a look at the overview below to see how this will look. So, kind of a quick little breakdown of how this is going to look. I do believe that when you are staking for that first initial period, that it's like 2 point something high per day consistent, but then once you have finished that kind of like initial staking period where you actually find out what bud it is, and then like kind of the strain with the percent of the THC, that's when it breaks down and you'll end up getting more. So the first few days is consistent, and then there's a chance for you to, go to the moon. Staking buds to yield high will stop after season 1. In future seasons, the bud staking mechanic will still be used, but in a different manner. Only those goats who understand how precious buds are and are smart in season 1 will enjoy the privilege of yielding even more high when the joint ruling season is upon us in season 2. So remember a second ago what I said? Only those goats who understand how precious buds are and are smart in season 1 will enjoy the privilege of yielding even more high season 2. So the numbers shown in the yielding overview are only applicable for those who stake for 14 days and longer. Look Labs want to incentivize long-term staking. There'll be a 14-day lockup period where all stake buds yield a fixed quantity of 2 high tokens per day. This yield applies to all buds, no matter the THC content. The buds start yielding a high token according to their THC levels after the 14-day lockup period is completed. And then just scrolling down here, so yeah, the 2.5 for the first, again, like 14 days, and then bada boom, bada bing, all the way up to, 15. Sheesh, that's a lot. But again, it's a little bit different, right? Because when we have these lower numbers, kind of messes with your head. Like if this was, I don't know, let's just say 500 per day, the numbers get completely skewed. So everything matters. Like I foresee something where, we look at one high token and it's actually, pretty valuable, where you look at one, I don't know, throw whatever the hell crypto out there. One Matic is, not really much. Wait, okay, so hold on. If we're going to say that it's one Matic, listen, we probably foreshadowed the shit out of that. Matic's up here, right? Polygon, sorry, $1.51. Yo, we'll take it. $1.51, we're vibing, dude. So anytime a bud is unstaked and restaked, the 14-day lockup period will be refreshed and go into effect. The same applies whenever new bud is staked. This lockup period helps sustain a more controllable and linear increase of the high tokens into circulation, and additionally encourage players to stake their buds for a longer time. Important unstaked buds do not yield any high. So, again, it's all about the staking here. So the high economy, the high token is the in-game currency that supports everything in the 420.game. From buying assets to the breeding process, high needs to be yielded or purchased in order to become successful in the game. The total cap on the number of Gen 1 and Gen 0 buds that will be in circulation is 40,000, 20,000 of each type. Once the game is launched, Look Labs will stake 100 OG passes into the Treasury Vault. The estimated value for each pass is at least, but not limited to, for ETH. If you look in secondary, I think it's like 6.5 floor, but we've seen a lot of offers being taken between like the 5-ish range and a little bit lower. The estimated, I just read that. So, the 100x GOAT PFPs and then the OG passes. So, that's another thing. The GOAT PFPs are going to be for green pass as well as OG passes. But they're going to be different between the OG and the green pass holders. So, the OG ones are supposed to be a little bit better, I would assume. Secondary sales of Gen 1 buds will bring extra revenue to the Look Labs treasury. This treasury will be constantly. This treasury will constantly make sure the burn rate of high is high and is also backed by as much value as possible. Wow, I'm struggling here. Revenue from the secondary sales will be used to increase the backing value or to activate a buyback program of the high token. Both will result in an increase of the high price. Look Labs will have several revenue streams in-game and on the secondary market that will be actively reinvested into the ecosystem, which as a result will maximize the value of High. So again, kind of talking about how they're wanting to make sure that the ecosystem is kind of propped up. Another important notice, Look Lab members will be paid in High token. They will have a lockup period and a linear vesting schedule. This ensures Look Labs team members will be long-term invested into the project. The total amount of High token the Look Lab team members will receive is based on their ability to deliver. For every successful season, they will receive 10% collectively of the total supply of High tokens. The maximum receivable amount is 30% based on the successful delivery of 3 functional seasons. So, I was streaming the other day and we were kind of talking about this, and one of the comments was, okay, like, how does it work, like, beyond that? If they're, just doing it for a little bit, could there be stuff beyond? I know there is a lot of partnerships that are going on behind the scenes. It seems that they're looking at a lot of physical redeemables, which we'll get to in a second, brand partnerships. So I'm guessing that this kind of is the start of that will lead into the physical realm, which we're seeing kind of across the board with every project. And so based on the successful delivery of 3 functional seasons. So we know that season 1 is supposed to be 3 months based off of their last Twitter AMA. And let's just say we think that all the seasons are about that. So 9 months for the first 3 seasons. Again, that's kind of short-term thinking. You can imagine that there could be a lot more afterwards. We'll end up seeing. I think that the NFT space as a whole potentially could see like a shift in what's cool and what's not. I know that like staking and all that kind of jazz was extremely hot when Wolf Game came out and when the Lumi token, I'm forgetting the collection off the top of my head, but if you guys remember, you'll know what I mean. And I'm not sure, right? With this one, is High token going to be highly sought after, or is it going to be only people within the ecosystem? How, is staking going to end up getting shut down, period? We don't really know. Obviously, regulations, yada, yada. Personally, again, I've gotten into this pretty heavily because I think the concept and the breakdown of this is probably one of the best breakdowns we've seen in a hot minute. So, yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to when it releases. And the mint for this is, I think, in like a week's time. I don't remember the exact date, but I think it's the 12th of March, and it might mention on the bottom here. So the total amount of High, the Look Lab teams, remember why I just already read that, to combat devaluation of the High token, Look Labs is able to introduce various inflationary and deflationary models throughout the game. We make sure to actively manage these models against downward pressure on the High token. So we had, wow, I'm recording on my OBS. Yo, Brazzaville, thank you for the follow. But them mentioning that they're willing to change stuff is interesting. So huge shout out to Insaney, who was on the Twitch stream when we were going over this and listening to the Twitter AMA. And he's like, I'm actually glad that they brought it up now, where we've seen some collections that if they were going to change something down the line, it would potentially come as a shock, right? Where I think Insaney used the reference of like Cool Pets, where obviously they're running into some issues right now. And hypothetically, if they were going to change something because, for whatever reason, and because I believe that the Cool Cats NFTs themselves are producing milk where the Cool Pets aren't, but if they were going to try to like change that, them changing it now would be like, whoa, where this is like, okay, now we kind of know ahead of time for it. So the High protection mechanism. The current in-game burn mechanism and overall gameplay have been designed to sustain a healthy ecosystem so long as goats continue to drive the High economy through breeding and the purchase of in-game items. High will be burned at a rate that will gradually increase the intrinsic value of all assets. In case of a lull in activity, the in-game burn mechanisms will not be triggered. Look Labs is closely monitoring the total in-game burn rate. If the rate falls below a certain level, it will be indicative of an increasing number of tokens being withdrawn from the game ecosystem, and the burn will be adjusted to compensate. Look Labs has the ability to implement a dynamic conversion rate at the in-game shop. A higher conversion rate will increase the in-game burn rate, not only helping to regulate the burn rate, but also guarantee a healthy and sustainable increase of High token on the secondary market. So we'll get into shops, but the shops are kind of how they're going to decide it. So if you know the token like ACYC, that would be like a good example where that one has like a 10% tax every time you buy it, and then also a tax every time you sell it. and that's just like built into like Uniswap, where with this one, it's built into the in-game shop. Or sorry, it's not built on a Uniswap. I don't think that was stupid. Disregard that. But you get the idea. You know what I'm saying? Where they're gonna have like a different kind of tax on it, so it basically affects how much high is out there. So. The mechanism is only for the protection of our players. Look Labs does not plan on implementing it as long as the ecosystem sustains itself. So again, probably not going to happen, but we'll see. In-game items can be staked to yield high, and each one comes with specific in-game utility. So if you remember right off the bat, they said the main objective of Season 1 is to get a shop. So only those goats who enjoy and thrive in the hustle will be able to become an owner of a shop. They'll need to legalize their business and enjoy their lives, for now. How the shop mechanics work: shops will be staked into the ERC20 contract. Once you're yielding high as a grower, one still needs to convert the accumulated high tokens into ERC20 tokens. The only possible way to do this is through the shops. Shops will be taking a commission of 22% on the conversion of your high token into the ERC20 tokens. Example, a grower gives a shop $1,000 worth of high tokens, and they will give it $780 worth of ERC20 tokens back. Where does this 22% commission fee end up? All revenue that is generated through these transactions will be staked into the shop pool. The shop pool will then be distributed amongst all the different shop owners, including Look Labs. The trades to the shop will decide how much percent overall will be received from the shop pool. Please find the different traits of the shops below. If one were to own the Barcelona shop, basically, they will receive a distribution of between 1 to 5% from the total shop pool. The California shop will receive between 6 to 8% of the pool, etc. The goal will be to obtain the best yielding shop and dominate. Here are the different shop properties. So basically, you're wanting Amsterdam, I think, which is weird. Because why do they have 500 plus shops of Amsterdam, but then only 200 of Barcelona? If one were to own the Barcelona shop, basically they receive a distribution of between 1 to 5% of the total shop pool. The California shop will receive between 6 to 8% of the pool. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, but okay, cool. So there's going to be a lot of people that potentially have the Amsterdam, and they're going to pop the hell off because the sale capacity is 500 plus, triple double banger. Commission is based on the daily conversion of in-game high token to ERC20 high token and distributed between all shops. Each shop receives percent based on its traits. The land plots. Each player will automatically receive 1 plot of land. This is the plot of land that will be utilized for buds. Note this plot of land is not tradable on OpenSea. It is important to understand that once the game starts, there's only 1 land plot available on which they can breed Gen 0 bud pairs. If the player wants to open new plots on the own land, it is required to finish a full breeding process of a Gen 0 bud pair or buy additional slots with high. The maximum number of plots a piece of land can accumulate is 5. That means Gen 0 buds have to breed until IBL level 5 to unlock the ability of purchasing new land. So, again, if people are like, yo, we want to get more land, we could end up seeing people burn those 2 Gen 0 buds for it, which, again, push down the supply of the Gen 0s. Additional plots of land can be purchased with the high tokens, and these additionally purchased lands are, in fact, tradable on OpenSea. So, again, I think with that being known, right, you can use the high token again, which is probably going to have it so it's in demand. If you're wanting the lands, which are going to end up being pretty solid to have for the breeding aspect, and those are tradable, unlike the first ones you get from having the Green Pass. Spicy. The sun is not always shining on the farm. The buds are not a big fan of being in the rain. That's why plots of lands can be upgraded into a controllable indoor environment by sacrificing some high token. The odds of producing a Gen 1 super strain are increased when breeding in these indoor environments, so they're well worth it. Indoor is better than outdoor, apparently. Remember that. Once the breeding starts from inside, everyone will have improved chances of producing the Gen 1 super strains. Definitely worth the sacrifice if we were asked. So, the Metalite rolling papers. Yields additional 4.20 high token per day. Stake the Metalite rolling papers generate more high. The 420 logo lights up in bright green IRL and physical claimables with the NFT. So that's kind of cool. Again, adding to that physical. Y'all, a little bit of a crypto punk there. The hoodie brings a master breeder friend into the game. The Comfy 420 hoodie is the first of its kind. It is printed electronics attached to the hoodie that come with a rechargeable battery. Click a secret button and turn on the cyberpunk high mode. His eyes light up in bright green, and he is stoned AF. The hoodie provides one free jump that allows you to jump from level 1 or any other level to IBL. Organic OLED light, wireless and chargeable. Wireless chargeable. That's not two different words. Fully machine washable without destroying the printed electronics and made in Italy. So this thing, I don't know if potentially this document's outdated, but I thought I read something where they mentioned that they were going to use one of their GOAT PFPs instead of the CryptoPunk. I don't know if that's changed, but something to note. So Superweed Serum. Speed up the growing time and efficiency when staked. It can be sprayed 3 times onto the buds with the breakdown there. The probability of the serum working correctly decreases with every attempt of boosting. Therefore, the player is put into a very choice-driven spot, deciding between safe growth or risky revenues. Sounds like a Monopoly plot of land. Cyber EDP IRL, physical claimable with the NFT. Weed Zip Bag. A new addition to the game is the Weed Zip Bag ERC 721, where players will be able to stash their collected high. The bag displays how many tokens are contained and will be a tradable item on OpenSea. The greater utility of the Weed Bag will be apparent during Season 2, where the focus will be joint rolling. In order to create a joint, the goats will be required to stake their Weed Zip Bag. The weight of the joint is based on the number of high tokens contained in the staked Weed Zip Bag. The more tokens in the staked zip bag, the heavier the joint is and the higher you can expect to get. The weight of the joint will have an impact on the daily yield of high tokens. So, I mean, the weight, that goes back to the buds, where they're saying the buds are precious. So, the whole idea is to fill it up with the weed bag, which a lot of you are probably thinking, yo, that sounds like Wolf Game with the pouches, and yes, it does. So for the passes, to have access to different items and utilities, the players will be able to buy additional passes. So, for the green pass, free bud, mint, option to mint an additional bud, depending on availability. And they reduced it. Before it was going to be 3 buds that people can get, so 1 free and then 2. And they changed it, so it's now 1 less unless you have the OG pass. So required to play the game, which means that other people outside of the ecosystem probably aren't going to get into the game unless they really want to, or until Season 2, which is something that was voted on, and the OGs selected, or, vote on the fact of having that requirement to play. I'm not in love with it, but it's whatever. Free plot of land, Goat PFP, Goat Gang jacket for the minters only, IRL access to the 420.game partner Weed networks, access to in-game minigames, special airdrops, special discounts to products of Look Labs partners, and more utility to be added in the future. And then for the OG pass, high awards from the game's success. This is a percentage of the total supply in high tokens, which will be distributed amongst the OG pass holders. Success fees are distributed every season. So again, if you have an OG pass, after the game kind of kicks off here, 3 months down the line, potentially you could get an airdrop from it, which is kind of neat. Extra high rewards from staking an OG pass. The staking rewards per pass will be higher than the Gen 1 lab work bud, 14.2 yield per day. The exact yielding is yet to be determined, but will be approximately 20 high tokens per day. Ability to mint limited edition in-game items connected to the IRL products from our partners, priority minting of in-game items throughout all seasons, and guaranteed whitelist spots for all Look Lab launches and special in-game item mints. Guaranteed whitelist spots for all projects, partnering with Look Labs. Guaranteed pre-mint access to the weed buds. The maximum mint during pre-mint is 3 buds per green pass. special OG dashboard in the game, voting powers, hidden Discord OG groups, access to in-game minigames, special airdrops, special IRL, VIP utility, and more utility will be added in the future. The future. Weed Doctor Pass. The Weed Doctor Pass will increase the chance of having a successful breeding cycle. Additionally, it will offer free jumps for skipping the breeding process directly to the IBL strain. There is also special IRL utility planned for the Weed Doctor Pass, which is yet to be announced. And then the Farmer Pass will shorten the breeding time and indoor upgrading of the plats. And this is what the player dashboard is going to look like, which I think is pretty neat. The team has been working hard on creating very nice dashboards for all the players. We will keep the reveal a secret for now. So, a little bit of a breakdown for the buds. Again, you have to have a green pass to be able to mint these. It's 0.0420. 420 with a 0 in front of it. All green pass guarantees at least one free bud. A minimum of one bud is needed to stake and start yielding high. This is the ERC 721 token. Bud drop claim periods. The OGs are the first able to mint their Gen 0 buds. The green pass holders will follow. The minting of the buds will be done in one transaction no matter the number of green passes in one wallet. So OGs can mint a maximum of 3 buds per green pass, and the other ones are a maximum of 2. And then all unclaimed buds will go to a final sale to all green pass holders, which we'll see if that gets there. I don't really think it does, but you never know. Each bud needs to be staked for 7 days to reveal its strain. It is yielding sweet, sweet high during the time it is staked. And March 12th. And I believe like the drop is at 420 as well. Keeping it apropos, if you will. Breeding coming after that. Buds drop staking after. And then just kind of a quick little breakdown here on the OGs. OGs have a unique role in the community. Their voting power is correlated to mint prices, gameplay, and supply. Owning an OG pass makes one a part of a special group. Secret Alpha channels, events, and will receive major benefits. OGs will have their own dashboard where they can vote on gameplay, seasons, and distribution of awards based on the high token performance. Owning an OG pass acts as a governance token on its own. The entire Look Labs team wants to thank the OG community for their fantastic support. Banger, banger, banger. So they're going to have different in-game mini games, Wii Chess, Smoke Arcade, 420 Poker Nights, and then they break down the team here. This is something I'll go through super quick. Again, don't have links for it, but nonetheless, Green Genie, Jordan, 20 years of coding experience. I started participating in blockchain meetups in 2016 and getting interested in Solidity. While working as a full stack dev, I expressed interest in Rust as well. We know that Jordan also said on the recent Twitter space that apparently he was like top 12 coder in Europe in school or something, or maybe it was a little bit after, but I was like, wait, what? So that was cool. Blizzard, Anthony, shadowy supercoder with 10 plus years in a blockchain. Raul, Y-Caddy, full stack senior dev, Young Squirrel, Nikki, front end guy, Simo, Chris, 3D artist, Dylan, designer, Alex and Sasha, interface design, Bad Bunny, Anna, project manager, Mr. Philip, the treasure, who's also, if you end up going on the Discord or to most of these Twitter spaces, they're probably one of the ones that talks the most with it, apart from Green Genie. Tax Monkey, Nikki, legal team, and then special thanks to Jacob2505. So, guys, that's going to be it for me. Appreciate you listening for this whole 40 minutes of a website read. Wow. I mean, what NFT project right now takes 40 minutes to read the website? Yeah. Okay. Peace, Dad.